Hi again, Dom here from Johnny Rook Games, and in this video we're going to talk about what you're physically going to get, or digitally if you're going to get a PDF, that's fine too. The physical book though is very exciting for us. We're finally able to print this book in a way that we meant to print it many years ago, but we were unable to at that time. We were doing everything in sort of a DIY early, format, and it just didn't really come out the way that we wanted it to. So now we're printing this book with the removable cover, like an old 1E2E module, if you're familiar with those. And then the inside has got the cyan maps. It's not that we're necessarily stuck on cyan maps, by the way. We wanted to maintain the original Watchtower module, which did have cyan maps in it, and so we're just keeping that the way that it is. Nothing too fancy there. But the maps look great as cyan maps. I mean, I really like them. I did them myself, so of course I like them. But I think they look great. I revised them a little bit for this book as well. The book itself is 32 pages, and then the cover on top of that. And the book itself will be black and white. We're not doing a color print of this. The cover is full color. It'll look just like the one behind me. This is the original version. This is actually the proof of the original Watchtower on the Hill. The new one will look very similar to that. I just changed the cover just a little bit and put on some revisional stuff, but essentially that's what it is. And of course, on the inside of that cover, here's another original one. Instead of the original version that was just blank and white, you're going to have the maps instead, and of course it comes off. The removable covers we're doing because, not so much because it's a classic thing, that's a traditional thing to do in some of these older games. We're doing it because it's just really functional. I really like that. When I try playing games that have an attached cover, and I'm going to include my own here, when I try to play this at my own table, my own book, it's not easy with this cover on it. It's a hard, stiff cover, and you have to fold it kind of strange if you're going to use it. I mean, this is my table copy, so it gets pretty beat up. I just don't really care for it very much. I like being able to take that cover off, and then you've got a nice flexible, paper book that you can play with if you need to. Write all over it, do what you got to do with it. And that the cover is fine separately. You put that up as a GM screen or put it to the side or do whatever else you're going to do with it. When I play my own game at the table, I've actually had to print out a PDF copy just to have a paper copy in front of me because it's just difficult to use that cover. It's very strange. So we're finally able to print this book without that problem, and that's really fantastic. I'm very excited about that. Other stuff in the book, there's some revisions all throughout the book. Most of them are very minor revisions. We want to try to maintain the original as much as possible. However, I did add in some things that I forgot to put in it when I first wrote it. One of those very important elements is the ghost. If anybody has played the game before or is familiar with Watchtower on the Hill, in the very back of the book, there's an entry for the least ghost. It's a new monster I created for the Osric game specifically, or any other kind of 1E, 2E game. It's just basically a weak form of a ghost. There he is. And this ghost was meant to have a much larger part in the Watchtower, but when I finished the book, he only shows up at the bottom of the Wandering Monster table, almost like a footnote. And his whole section, I never put it in. I had it, I just didn't put it into the book when we printed it, so nobody really got to use the ghost, which is unfortunate. So in the new version of it, I've added that ghost material back in, revised it quite a bit, and now we can actually haunt the Watchtower like he was supposed to originally. Whether or not that low-level adventurer party will be able to deal with the ghost is another matter, because he still is a ghost, and he's very difficult for a first-level adventurer party, but that's not his focus. I mean, the reason that he exists in the module is to create an element of tension, of concern, that spookiness while they're exploring this place, and that really brings the game to life. And I use him at the table when I run the game. We bring that in, but I know that people have bought the book that have played it. They never used that element. They didn't know it was there, but now it is, and so hopefully you'll get a chance to play the Watchtower with the ghost as intended originally. Other than that, we also added a couple of new monster blocks in that I couldn't add in before, mostly for space reasons originally. So now we're going to have stats for things like a skeletal humanoid and possibly the zombie humanoids too. But those are some new things. We also have some new art. And other than that, everything else is very simple, is very similar to the original Watchtower. So that's the physical book that you'll be getting, is a removable cover, black and white interior, 32-page adventure module. Actually, 4 maps. I was going to say there's 2 maps of the dungeon itself, and there's a map of the Mughouse pub that was originally there, and then a map of the ruined Watchtower as like a side view to just give you an idea about how it looks. So there's 4 maps in the book. and several pieces of art, a number of new ones. So anyway, support us, please. We'd love to get this in your hands because it's a really great book, and I'm really excited to see the finished product myself when we finally get it. So thanks again.